information that I was seeing. See, like in these cases here, you see these shootouts that are happening like around the throat or in front of the chest. So like those are the areas that there's a lot of information is building up, right? So then like when we see these information on the field here, that doesn't mean that like the person has any issues with their thyroid or their respiratory system. This is just telling us that there's a lot of information that's maintaining there, and we just don't have to release that information. Otherwise, if it sits there, then it causes a lot of overactivity, and that can lead that system to decoherence. So what I saw today was that these shootouts that we see around the head, right after this session that people will come out, that like one side of it will be completely gone. So now this is like 6 months of therapy. Like somebody that has that kind of a shootout around their throat, these are people that, and like, I don't want to nitpick on anybody, but there's different aspects. But if somebody doesn't speak their truth and they hold on a lot of like feelings and emotions in their throat and they don't let it come out, then that's energy, right? So the way that we communicate the information is energy. So that if we speak it, then the energy is actually flowing and is not staying in our system. But if you want to say something and we hold it, like in a relationship or something that we can't really speak our truth, then all of that becomes that extra energy that it starts maintaining in those areas. So now what I experienced today was using the structured water, that the information that we're getting from the custom music that's created for you went so deep into the system that in one session, I saw a lot of those overactivities that are happening that completely disappeared. Wow. And one of the biggest things that I noticed was on the energy on the back. If you look on like this section over here, or this section over here. Have you ever heard of the terminology that it's like somebody stabbed you in the back? Yeah. So a lot of people that go through life, that they have some experiences that happens to them, maybe they go through a divorce, or they have a business partnership that somebody that cheats on them. So these are the people that have a lot of disruptions on their back. It's like they don't have confidence about who's behind them. So, and this is so fascinating. I see it in so many people. Few of you guys today had that pattern. But after you guys listened to the sound therapy and drank the water, it was the most beautiful coherent field in the back section. Ooh. So that's so powerful. I mean, it's just, namaste. Yes. Another thing that I noticed was the system had a lot of impact on the heart chakra. So some people were really centered in their heart chakra, but once they came and I scanned them, somehow the information had influenced some information in the heart center, and the heart center started to go out of balance. So now what I did with these people, I had them go sit down another 20 minutes and kind of like recenter themselves. After they came back, we scanned them, perfect alignment. So it was very powerful to experience the technology with structured water. Because once we put the water on top of the system, as we're having a conversation, all of that frequency, all of that information gets embedded into the water. But now the only thing that I have a question was that, we talked about that if it's structured water, then it doesn't really hold on to the information. But here, we saw that the information was beautifully directed. So how do you explain the difference of the structured water on the system with the influence of the sun?
The conclusion that I made about structured water was, and treating it with energy, was a certain kind of structuring and a certain kind of water, and a certain kind of structuring and a certain kind of energy. Okay. This is a different kind of energy and a different method of structuring. So that just shows to me that my conclusion isn't universal. Certain kinds of energies and certain kind of structuring can be compatible and allow for the information to get into the water.
Perfect. And that's what I experienced today.
Right. Hey, I'm a scientist. You got experimental proof? I'm all for it.
Yeah, because what we saw is that when you're listening to the frequencies, the body is absorbing the information, but then it doesn't really know what to do with it. And that's been my experience in the last 20 people that we scanned, is that they hold on to the information, but we don't really see the shift. But now, since you guys today drank the structured water, that was the biggest shift I saw. So thank you so much for that, and the powerful technology that you're bringing to humanity. And Just imagine if you can have people have this kind of an impact, how much we can raise the consciousness of humanity. And imagine if every single one of us can host these kind of gatherings, bringing people together, having them drink structured water, doing this kind of work together, and this becomes a ripple effect. And we can influence so many lives, so many people, and really raise the consciousness of humanity. Yes?
How long do you think the effect lasts?
That's a great question. That's another research that we have to do. That's the question.
Thank you.
So I would like to scan some of you guys that already drank it, maybe throughout the
I just
day.
had some bad news in between then and now, so I wonder if times change.
Right.
So definitely we can do that research to understand, to see if it's maintaining or if it's shifting. That's the biggest type of information that we require in a research to see we can make the shift, but then how long does it last? And that has a lot to do with the person and the person's psychology. So if you can maintain that information and hold on to it, then it lasts. But if you go to your environment and if you allow other people to influence you, and then that will go away pretty quickly.
I'm wondering if it's like you got that news, but if you had already, instead of being, think of it in terms of being up steps, flights, or if you were on the 12th floor when you got the news, or were you on the 8th floor now, because you would come at that news from a different place, how long does it hold, but you're also receiving it from a different place, and how that goes through you might be different than if it was on the 12th floor instead of the 8th floor. So that might be, but you'd be a good person to retest again, since that has happened in this moment in time. But see if that works.
So yeah, that would be a great way for us to understand more. And I did a little bit of research on the water itself too. I feel like it's worth mentioning it.
Nima, I have a parallel question.
Sure.
So they're asking about how long the beneficial effect lasts. How long would a spike like that you just showed us, where there's a concentration, how long might that last? Because if you measured it an hour later, will that still be there?
Yeah, that's pretty. If I can see a shootout like that in the system,
It'll last for.
it will last. Like if I scan you again, it's going to be there.
Oh, okay.
Unless the person starts working on
Yeah,
themselves.
or whatever. Yeah.
And starts them yelling in the screen or something, take the energy out, and then when we measure, then it'll look different.
Okay.
But if they don't do anything and I scan them again in a week from now, 2 weeks from now, it's pretty much the same.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I have many cases of
Right.
people throughout the year that I've worked with.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
But this wasn't this way when you were doing research on that.
Yeah.
It's moved a long way. It's
Okay.
become a lot more stable. But I know where you're coming from.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you are asking. Right.
So what I did now, I wanted to do a little bit of research. Since I saw how fascinating the structured water was, I wanted to understand, what is this? What is so special about this water? And why is it influencing people that way? So we have sensors that I can actually put the sensor in a liquid, and I can actually measure the number of photons, which is area that's present in a liquid. I can measure the intensity, which is the brightness of the photons. And we say photons, but this is Glenn here, I'm sure you could take that and do a lot of arguments of, do we actually count photons? But
I won't go there.
yeah, but we can go, this could be a very deep conversation.
That's between me and you.
Yeah. So now in here, what I realized that was really cool, because, you see it yourself. Do you see the difference there? The orange was just tap water. I got tap water, and I put the sensor, and I wanted to measure. And then the purple color, even though it says tap water there, but that's not. That's the structured water. So do you see the coherence in the structured water compared to the tap water?
Which one is which? I'm sorry.
The purple is the structured water,
Yeah.
the orange is tap water.
Okay.
So if you just look at the coherence of the photons, you see the orange is going, all of a sudden it's it's just chaos that's happening within the field. So now if you're drinking that water, that's the information that we're introducing to our system. But now look at the structured water, how it's maintaining its integrity. This is the intensity of the photons, the same thing. You see the purple, how it's maintaining that energy, that information. But the orange is just it can't hold because it doesn't have the right structure. So it's not holding information, right?
Yeah. Any idea why some of these peaks go down and some of these peaks go up?
I don't know exactly why. That's just the fluctuations that's happening within the
In the
liquid,
environment,
in the environment
just sitting
itself.
there.
And right now we're getting there's all this information here that's happening. So even the tap water, like when you look at the energy here, if you look at the purple, it's perfectly coherent energy. But when you look at the tap water, I mean, this is the first time I've measured the tap water that had 4.5 joules of energy. See, this is where measuring the amount of energy in joules of energy in liquid. So usually tap water is 0.
Oh,
It's probably RO water here,
Oh no, we're running all these frequencies in here.
right? Right. Oh, that's
So as soon as you pour it in a cup, the information, what do you say water does? Holds on to information. So the entire house now, the level of field is elevated. So even the tap water has the same energy as the structured water.
For a period of
I've
time.
never seen that. This is the first time I was able to see that. That's what I wanted to share. It was like, wow, this is like crazy. So that proves the power of this technology of how to raise the energy in liquids. And we're 90% water in our brain, 70% water in our bodies. So just imagine having this running in your home. What kind of information you add into your own system?
So you're saying the first part where it's level on the top is because of the coherent field here?
Yeah, this is maintaining the energy. It doesn't matter what's happening in the field. It's such a strong field that's maintained. It's like, no, this is my structure, and I'm holding on to it. But the tap water, since it doesn't have that structure, and it's like, okay, I go this way, or if you went this way, it's like you're coming to all different
And
possibilities.
it moved when you took it away from this. What
was able to hold it.
So this information is being broadcasted to this entire building, right? So for me to go get a cup of water from there, and I take it to my room, put it there, and then 10 minutes of sitting there and I'm measuring, in that 10 minutes, all the information in here is getting programmed into the liquid.
Right, I guess I'm wondering when
But then it
the water
drops.
started dropping.
What caused that?
So the cause is that, imagine, like we're adding coherent information to a chaotic field. So there's going to be some sort of a fluctuation. And that's what we're seeing there.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was wondering when it's maintaining and then it starts getting chaotic. And I was wondering, was that when the water was moved
Process
away
that.
from the?
No, this whole time the water has been sitting in a cup on the desk. The entire time there's no movement in the water. The only thing that's changing is the information in water.
So how long does that data take you? Like how long are you putting it in the water?
This was 10 minutes.
Huh? 10 minutes?
10 minutes. Yes.
So on the first 4.5 minutes, it's fairly steady, and then what she's asking, I think, is there's a dip, in all of them it's a dip. So is just what occurs? I think that's what you're asking. 4.5 minutes.
So I don't really know what happened in the after 4.5 minutes because there's a lot of fluctuations that is happening within the field. But what we care about is that what system, if we have a stable system, the system will maintain its integrity. As we talked about, that everything in the universe wants to come to a stable form.
Because the
Homeostasis.
purple is solid.
Homeostasis.
Okay, because it's a stable environment, but the tap water is not. So
Yeah, the tap water, there's so much impurities in there.
Right, right.
Now it's like trying to understand how does it maintain this information.
But look, it was trying to get its way back up again. So, it went into a little chaos, went stable, a little chaos.
And as you
then
can
it
see,
goes
towards the
back,
end, it
starts to
went
go
back
back
up.
up again, yeah.
Which is an amazing
It was like calling out
proof
whatever.
that we can take tap water and we can structure it using this technology.
So that would be entrainment?
Yeah, because this is the frequency that was training the water the whole time.
Really interesting.
So now the negative thoughts that we have in our bodies, imagine this is like that, the orange. And then when you drink structured water, you're bringing coherent into your field. And that's what we measure. That after you guys listened to the sound information, drank the water and came down, it was beautiful alignment.
So that's a lot like homeopathy in that like a 30C remedy is succussed 300 times or more, but the higher the number, the less the actual ingredient. So Arnica montana, the higher the number, like 200C, there's absolutely no biochemistry anywhere that can prove that there's Arnica montana in there. and yet it's stronger than the lower dose. The reason being that what it does when it's in the process of being succussed with movement, so life is movement, movement is life, so there's movement through here all the time, so it's carrying this through its movement into everything. And the reason that it's so strong is because when the arnica montana is diluted through the succussion and the process, it actually becomes stronger because it has, instead of taking the ingredient, it's taken the essence of the ingredient. So the only thing that's in there is the essence, and it can't be tested anywhere, except they know that it's stronger than when it's the 30C.
So it's the essence and also the intention of the person that was preparing it, right?
No, it's absolutely the essence of the arnica montana is now infused into the whatever sugar cube or whatever process they're going to be using it in.
But once you do that, every time that you go to dilute it, the person is like diluting it and then holding it and shaking it.
No.
No.
Succussion can happen mechanically.
Mechanically. Okay.
It can happen that way, but it's the movement that allows the essence of the arnica or herb, whatever it is, into the fluid or whatever process it's putting it into to give it to you. And it gets stronger with the less amount of arnica in it. The less that's in there, and they can test it and not find a single molecule of arnica. But the properties of it are sustained through the essence of arnica. And that's what we're talking about here.
That's
is that
exactly what we're talking about.
it is, because our essence, not just our collective consciousness here, but the essence of all of us through movement is infusing everything in the building. And then a teacher I had used to, at the end of a class, would say, okay, let's take this and offer it to this neighborhood, and then this state, and then this world, and just...
Oh, I love that.
And so we would take this concentration of homeopathic remedy of essence and send it out to the world. And then you're affecting everybody, everything, trees, water, animals, birds, doesn't matter. And that essence gets carried, but the movement and the process of the focus and concentration as it's being diluted actually makes it stronger.
So that's a question for Helena. Did you ever put an herb on top of that? And will that broadcast the essence into...
That would be interesting.
Yeah, so yes, as a matter of fact, what we did was we were exporting to South Korea. And what we did, you have to put an additive in water when you know that. And they test every single batch that you send. Unlike Japan that tests once a year. So we figured out a way, actually we got the frequency for green tea, and somehow, unlike, and many of the people I've met with consider the water homeopathic medicine, really. So we actually passed their tests. So we actually just used the frequency of the green tea, but we've never done an additive. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. We were approached by the grandfathers of structured water, Dr. Masaru Emoto and Lee Lorenzen and Lauren Zanier, because they were putting herbs in the water. They were getting contaminated upon shipment, and they were throwing away millions of dollars of water. So that's why they approached Robert Lloyd, because he was known for the scalar. So no, we've never done a physical additive, but we did do a vibrational additive, and somehow it passed the test.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is interesting. So this also confirms a study that they did in, a lot of people, they'll do the study on the water and just think, this is going to destroy my credibility. In the olden days, like 5 years ago. And so we also did a study, actually it was the Gates Foundation, around circa 2010 and 11, and they approached us. They actually added the structured water to tap water to see if the concrete would harden faster, stay hard longer, and it did. They did nothing. The Gates were spending millions of dollars in FedEx fees, and because the vaccines that they were shipping were getting too cold, freezing, and losing potency. So they actually tested the structured water, and they found that there's something very miraculous about it, that it froze and stayed at the right temperature, so it preserved the vaccines, but they also did nothing with it. So this confirms that, because they were in Detroit, Michigan, they were just using tap water. But it seems as though the mind can't get around the data, so this would be helpful. But, and it is, because the scalar is actually imprinting the diamagnetic properties of the water that you're not seeing in the atmosphere. So this is confirming it.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to share that, because it's just, I've never really seen an experiment like this. I've done a lot of research on water, but usually, like, you know, it's either lower or higher. You don't have this drop here and then actually trying to correct itself. That's what's really fascinating to me. That is, like, it's actually happening. The training is actually happening as I'm measuring it. So that's why it was really cool. I wanted to make sure I share that with you guys.
Nice.
Any questions based on what I shared with you guys? Anybody that I went through your scans? If you have any comments, anything you want to?
Can you show us some of before after?
Before after?
For some
Yeah, I'll go through some of them.
examples.
Did you get to
Are you going to be doing more scans? Are you going to do more scans? Because I missed the scan.
Yes, you can do more scans if you guys are getting the treatments done.
I don't have a baseline yet.
Yeah, we checked the other thing that we used.
Oh, okay.
Alright, we're going to start with Tammy first, and then we go through a couple of Okay, so this was one before after. This was the, and some people had like really powerful shifts. Some people, you know, to a point. That was a before scan, and this was the after scan. So in this case, if you look at the back of the system, how energy is moving here, the blue color, the thicker it is, that means that there's more energy that's going through it. Okay. If you look on the before scan here, do you see how thin it is? This is like the cardiovascular system here that the energy is moving through, and you see that the amount of energy that's going there is a lot lower than what we have already going on here. So that's one section I can already see that there's a lot more energy that added to the system. And then we come up through the back of the person. And then if you see on this side, as the energy is moving up, right here, there's a big blockage, okay? And that blockage is usually done for women due to their bra strap. If you wear the bra strap that's kind of tight, it sits right there, and you'll be surprised how many women I see that have a blockage of energy there. And if you guys switch it to a sport bra, then that will help you a lot. So just a little pointer for you guys. Because I see that in so many women, I'm just like, oh my God, if you guys do something about that. And then from there, when we go up, you see that I come up in the back of her head, and you see all these areas that energy is starting to kind of like get dissipated there. Okay? Now look over here. You see how beautiful and thick that energy is? And then do you see how throughout that area that was dropped in energy, do you see how it just perfectly filled in? So that would take a lot of work to want to get that's a massage session, like the hour of massage, it really could be a few massages in a month to be able to get those kinks out. But just like listening to sound and drinking water and having that kind of a result, that is pretty fascinating.
Also here, too.
Yeah.
That disappears.
So right here in front of the face, that's another point you can see. Because in the back of the neck, when we have this kind of a pattern there, from our vertebrae, we have a lot of energy pathways that bring energy from like the vertebrae and the neck to the front of the face. So that's how the energy channels come to our sinuses, our vision, our jaws, our teeth. Everything comes from the back of the neck. So all of you guys that are on your phones like this or on your systems like this, you're continually blocking that flow of energy. Okay? And if energy doesn't get to the top of your head, then depression is the number one side effect from that. Number two is your hormonal balance. Your hormones will go out of whack because we have all the glands in the head. You have the pituitary, the pineal, hypothalamus are all in the head, and these are the systems that actually generate the hormones in your body. So now if your neck is always like this and energy can't get to the top of your head, then these guys are not getting enough energy, so then your hormone production really goes out of whack. I mean, look at that. And look at the top of the head. Like this is the hypothalamus here, This is the pineal and this is the pituitary. And you can see how the shootouts, because there's a lot of pressure that was going on there. But now look at it. You see how much more energy is in that area?
Very cool.
That's powerful.
That's me.
That's you. Congratulations. And then even in front of our body, so this is the cardiovascular system right here. Now look at on that side. You see how it's like kind of like wobbly? But now we have a perfect flow of energy in that system. So, thank you, Helena.
Bob would be so happy about the water component to be integrated.
So let's go through another.
Should we do mine?
Should we ask if someone wants to volunteer and if we know who it is, or I'll go with it?
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to just bring everybody's picture up there. Like some people are maybe private. I don't know.
Okay.
Want to bring yours? What was your first name?
I didn't see it.
Remember, folks, so we don't know whether those changes are produced by the water or by the serenosphere. Because
They did all.
It's a combination. We know that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we have already done the research just with the device itself. But now when we're combining it with the water, that's what we're. And this was I guess the initial protocol.
Not the very first, because you've been going on a long time.
Yeah, but prior to this.
Yeah, it was
without
actually the
the-
structured water one. We partnered with the Moto in 2002. So that was when, Emily Lorenzen actually, so it was when that started. And actually it was the structured water that pulled me out of chronic fatigue. I was in a kind of weird marriage, but it really was the structured water actually that allowed me to join Robert and do this. Also, the technology got out because it was built on UV, so we have to rebuild it from Windows.
I mean, this was, you had done 20 prior without water.
Without water.
So this is your first time doing it with the
With
water,
water.
and you're seeing
Amazing
very
shifts.
different
Like
changes.
this is the
So
shifts I
that's-
wanted to see when I was doing it just with the system itself.
what, just with this, not,
Yes.
okay.
And I was testing the miracle, not the serenosphere.
Okay.
So this is a lot more powerful system compared to the miracle.
Yeah.
Okay. So now this was another case that we had, and this is a very powerful case. So thank you for letting me share this. So if you look on this scan here, what is the first thing that we notice on the before? It's right behind the hips. This section right here.
Yeah.
So whenever we see this here, this is a sign of chronic energetic buildup. That means that this has been going on for a while in her system. This is not something just new that she slept the wrong way last night or something. This could be maybe months or years of wrong flow of energy in those specific areas. And whenever we see that orange, then we know that it's chronic. Okay. So now, usually women in their lower back, this is exactly related to their sacral chakra. Especially women, they hold on to a lot of emotions in their lower backs. Okay. And now, again, what we talked about, emotions are energy, right? So if we're just holding to a lot of energy in our lower back, it's not just our lower back, it's going to affect everything that's around that area. So I see a lot of ladies with like their uterus issues and like sexual systems. But one of the major causes of that is that they don't let go of emotions. So now, in order to release that blocked emotion there, that would take maybe 6 months of psychology, like sessions or something like that, to really bring this out of the system. But now I want you to see what happened here, and this is very, very interesting. With this system, we can actually see live movement of energy. So when emotions are releasing the system, this is what we usually see. You see the orange area became this pink color here? This is that blue merging and coming in, trying to attach itself to the field again. And then all of that orange that's there, what happens when this is coming in, all of that wants to push out. So this is like the actual emotions that are leaving the body.
Wow.
And we're able to capture it in real time.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Really different. Okay, my head doesn't quite know what's happening.
And then now, for the second person in a row, look at the spine. Look at how energy was moving through her back. You see how shattered, how weak it was? No. That's very powerful.
And then, you know, I tried to speak up, right? There are a few things I've got to say, but I don't say them necessarily. But I'm not some of that, which is good for my life.
And look at the back of your neck. Like, look at this right over here. See that pattern right there? That's like a big kink right there in the back of the neck. That's not allowing energy to move through. Exactly. So you gotta just bring your phone up, guys. Don't take your head down. Bring your phone up. It's very simple. Just keep on reminding yourself, you save your neck. And now look at how much more energy we have on the back of the neck. Okay? Now look at top of the head. Remember we said this is the endocrine system? Look at the endocrine system there. Does that look like a coherent endocrine system to you? But now look at it. See, it's just a lot more coherent, a lot more. Over there, it's just like, it's just like a storm happening like in the head, right? So now the same thing happens again. Look at the front of the face. It was almost like distorted, it was disappeared. But now how much more energy we have coming? And then look at in front of her stomach area. This is the gastrointestinal system. Look at the energy there. I mean, is this a miracle? Or I mean, I don't know how else to call this, right?
So that was happening in an hour, the shit.
Less than an hour. That was 20 minutes of listening to the sound therapy and making water.
Wow.
So I think these are some of the biggest shifts I've seen based on my research. I mean, that taking somebody from there to there, it takes a lot of work.
And if she hadn't had coffee, it could have been better, huh?
If I know how
If she hadn't had coffee first, it could have been better.
yeah, I mean, you know, coffee is not good for us either. So I know you guys know that it's just not good for you. Now I'm coming down a little bit. That's coffee right there in her system. I'm telling you, that's why doctors wanted to do the pacemaker for me. Because every time I would drink coffee, my stomach would get like that. And then I would get palpitations. And they thought it's my heart, but it's actually I was allergic to coffee. And just by putting that away, my heart went back to normal. How crazy is that? And when they put a pacemaker for me on that. So don't listen to what they tell you. Go and do your own research. Make sure that you get it. So now look at the energy coming back. And that's a lot of energy. It's not just like little bit lines adding in there. That's a lot of force getting in there. This is a urogenital system. The urogenital gets directly affected when we're holding on to emotions. Women that hold on, I see a lot of women that are in relationships that they can't speak the truth. So their thyroid, their throat gets like this. And then they sort of hold on to a lot of emotions. So their back gets like that. And then their front starts to get like this. And then in a few years, I see that they get Hashimoto's, they get this, they get that, and then they go and check their uterus, and then they have the C word. So a lot of things will happen into the system. This is like such an easy ways that we're talking about this. But if we can't make those shifts, then we are headed downwards to some really ugly things. So this is really, really powerful. I just want you guys to realize that. And again, look at the cardiovascular system here compared to back there. It was so good, but you see it was kind of like flaky. It wasn't consistent. But now we got power. I mean, I can tell, like, just looking at her, look at her. She's just lighting up. She's lit up.
Nima, can you show us some numbers that correspond to those pictures, images?
I can absolutely show you numbers, but numbers usually when we drink coffee, it starts to kind of like, it doesn't really make sense with the numbers, so I can show patterns a lot easier, but we can absolutely show you some.
The two systems that you said that were completely different.
Yeah, so if you come here,
Being a scientist, I want to see numbers. Sorry, guys.
and if you look on the before, like over here, the thyroid area, I'll see that the big depth right there is like at 517.
What?
Yeah, full. I'm trying to see here.
Before or after?
Before is orange, okay? So if you go over to before, in some areas, we want to look at the back. See, it's at 913 in her back over there. See down here, we can see the total amount of energy that's accumulated there. So 4 to 6 joules, they're considered optimal energy. So from 6 to 9, that's a lot of energy that's added, right? So now, what happened after, if you come here, that came down to 826. Okay? If I'm just after, actually, that should be higher. That went to 1052, right? So, why did that happen? Why did it go from 9 something to 1052? We just released the emotion, right? As we had a conversation. She was holding on to the information there. And then now that she releases this, all the energy that was backed up, that was in that orange spot, that was kind of like held in a pocket, like that whole thing burst open. So that's a lot of information. That's a lot of energy that's kind of like compiled up into that one pocket. When that bursts, all that energy gets pushed out. And then we get to see how energy is actually leaving the system. So immediately after, when I scan somebody, then we can see the actual movement. And then when she like waits another like 10, 15 minutes and I go scan, then this energy starts to come down and become like even like more balanced in those areas. But this was really cool because I was able to capture that how those stuck emotions were actually leaving her system. So, I've done over 10,000 cases. My eyes are very trained on this technology. So that's why the pattern can show you a lot more story than looking at numbers, especially if we're drinking coffee, we're doing different things. Because when we have coffee in our system, everything goes high in energy. Then it's very hard to want to numerically try to understand what's happening. Does that make sense?
I have a question.
Yes.
As an example, if you have someone who has numbness and tingling in the hand, and they have an EMG run, and it shows.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
If they have numbness and tingling in their hand,
Okay.
and they have a diagnostic EMG run, and it shows that the issue is conductivity along a specific nerve, at some point does this shift in energy result in increased or more normalized conductivity of the nerve?
So this system is not a medical system, so we're not like looking at nerves and like different systems in the body, we're just looking at the flow of energy. But after we fix the issue, if there's a blockage that's happening in the system and we can release that, then we would see actually more energy going through that channel because all the energy that's being blocked now has a way to go. Imagine like a dam. If you look at a river, then we block the river, the water just backs up, right? And then after that point of blockage, you have just a little bit of water going through. That usually happens when we have a blockage in our system. Now, as a therapist, as a healer, we go and work on removing this blockage. Right. Now, what happens if you go to a dam and just like open the walls? There's all this force of energy that's just going to go woof, down the stream, and there's going to be a lot of chaos, right? So exactly after we do that, if I scan somebody, that's what we're going to see. We're going to see the chaos. But then if I wait like an hour, 2 hours after the dam is completely like emptied itself out, then it becomes calm and coherent. That's exactly with us. And that's why whenever we scan somebody right after a therapy, I see more fluctuations in the system than more coherence. But then when they wait about 10, 15 minutes, they sit there and we drink some water, then we can actually see how the system comes back into that coherent. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's true in acupuncture or Jin Shin or any of the other arts that are based on blockages or meridians or pressure points. Once you release it, there's a rush of the backlog of the fluid or energy or whatever, and then it balances out and sustains itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mine is more in the direction of, I've done postgraduate education in acupuncture. As an example, treating someone who's been paralyzed from the waist down, so had very limited activity in their legs, couldn't stand, walk, etc. And during the acupuncture treatments, you can actually see they're moving their legs. And then after a series of treatments, they're moving, walking, etc. And just keep improving. And I'm kind of wondering how the changes in the energy that you're measuring would correlate to an experience like that for the patient.
So it would be very similar.
Or how long it would last.
Yeah. So now depending on like when we do those kind of therapies, we have the person come back maybe like a couple of days from now, a week from now, and then we can keep on like scanning them to see like, okay, how long is actually maintaining within their system. But that's exactly what would happen, the same kind of patterns, that if there is, you're working on that and then you're releasing the patterns, At first, there's going to be more like chaos in their system, which is absolutely normal, but then it goes back to coherence.
And then this could absolutely be transferred into a clinical spot in that you would then have quantitative data saying she came 6 times, drank water, got measured, and it changed, and it stays longer each time. Then it can become basically a medical tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to work with you. You got such an awesome mind. Any other questions?
That's why I think the biggest thing, I just have a comment, the biggest thing I think is going to be environment and practice. Environment and practice, because I'm sustained and I can't wait to kind of get the data in longer term and see what it does for people that do revisit like this thing, or who has the technology at their home and what are their practices, because the way I see it is like energy levels, it may fluctuate, but then it will jump, you know, as it steadies, right, and just continues to climb.
Yeah, because everything
Yeah.
wants to become coherent. So even the tap water that we saw, it pushed itself up. It wanted to maintain. It's like, oh, I love this frequency. I want to be like that, right? It's like, oh, that's so good looking. And then it's like, oh, this is so hard to maintain that. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to myself. Cool. It's the doubt coming through. Right? The fear coming through, right? So then it's maintained. It's like, oh, but no, that's so sexy. Like, I want to go back up here, right? Pulls itself back up with the power of attraction. And then, you know, if we can do it enough, then the system will actually just stick and it will maintain that.
Let's see what it does in 20 minutes next time. That was 10 minutes.
That was 10 minutes,
10
right?
minutes.
So the research shall continue. And one of the biggest factors that, based on all the research that I've done, to really manage our health and wellness, the biggest influences on our health and wellness is our mind, our thoughts, our emotions, and our environment. So you can be, even diet though, I really don't put it in there, because you can have the best diet in the world, but you're always getting frustrated, you're getting angry, and you have fear in your life. It's like you're having hamburgers every day. Because every single in the body will process emotions as well. So then it's not just the physical things that we put into our system, everything that goes to our mind will directly influence our wellness. So if we can control our thoughts, we can control our reality. And now if you really work on yourself, and you really meditate, and you really fine-tune your own system, and you have fully control on your mind and your emotions and your thoughts, but now if you live in an environment that the environment is chaotic, it's like you're at fight with yourself 24/7. And that will really decreases the energy and the log of stuff. So now that's what I love this technology, because you've already done the research on the energy of environment. And we proved that it was an 85% improvement when we run these systems inside of a home. That the energy of the house becomes 85% better, more coherent.
Was that this or the miracle? Was that?
That was a miracle. I haven't done the research with this. I'm sure this is going to be a lot more powerful.
Right.
That was just with the miracle that we did that. So you guys have all of these available to you. Take advantage of it. Make sure that, you know, you're influencing your family, your pets.
She had a story with her husband.
Oh.
Started out.
Oh, sorry. I got the miracle, and I just did a plug and play because he's muggling anyway. And you spent his money. I did. And so anyway, I just did a plug and play, and we, when we first started dating, he was like, hey, let's just slow dance in the living room, you know, all that romantic stuff, and then, you know, 11 years later, whatever. And so I just plugged it in, and in 3 days, he was like, Angela, get up. And I'm like, what? He's like, stand up. And I'm like, why? What do you want? Yeah. And he goes, no, stand up. And I'm like, wait, why? And he's like, let's just dance.
Aww.
And
That's so beautiful.
for after, you know, he hadn't done that for years. I mean, that's testimony in my opinion.
You also said he wasn't sleeping.
Yeah, he wasn't sleeping, and he's solid 6'8" now, where before he was not.
Talk about it in 3 days.
Yeah. And you guys saw my dog walking around here, right?
Yeah.
And she's usually not this calm. Like, she's playful. She's like, but right now she's like in a completely different mode right now. She is like in a different level. And you know, animals are so sensitive to information, to energy. So when I put the miracle in my office and I was doing research, every once in a while I go open. I'll look for my puppy and I couldn't find her. I'm like, where is it? I'll go open my office and be sitting right in front of the mirror in my office.
Yes, definitely made up the loop several times intentionally. You could tell.
Yeah.
It's like, I think I'll go back and stop. Like, no, I'm gonna go back this way and then come back again. It's interesting. I've watched today.
So congratulations to you for being here, for having such an awesome mind, to allow yourself to come and experience this beautiful session that we had today. And thank you so much for being open and experiencing and allowing me to share Somebody have any questions? Sure.
I wanted to make one comment. What has really shifted for me the last